Frozen dinners used to be simple. Pop a tray in the oven, wait 20 minutes, and hope for the best. But while you've been grabbing whatever's on sale, some brands have been serving you sodium bombs disguised as dinner, while others have quietly perfected restaurant-quality meals that belong in your freezer. So let's separate the disasters from the diamonds. Here are 5 frozen dinners to never buy, and 5 that are actually restaurant-worthy. The 5 worst offenders. 1. Lean Cuisine Swedish Meatballs, the diet disaster. We start with Lean Cuisine, launched in 1981 as Stouffer's answer to the diet-conscious crowd. The Swedish meatballs became their signature offering, a low-calorie take on comfort food that theoretically let you eat pasta and meatballs without guilt. The execution reads more like culinary punishment than dietary freedom. The meatballs arrive as dense, rubbery spheres that taste vaguely of meat-adjacent protein. I'm not saying they bounce, but I wouldn't be surprised if one survived a fall from the kitchen counter. The cream sauce is thin and oddly sweet, lacking any savory richness that makes Swedish meatballs worth eating. The pasta sits limp and waterlogged, having absorbed whatever processing liquid the meal traveled in. Probably the tears of disappointed customers. At 280 calories, you're getting portion control, all right? The portion is so small you'll be hungry again in an hour, which defeats the entire purpose of eating a meal. It's like they took a regular dinner and put it through a shrinking machine, but forgot to shrink the price. The sodium content hovers around 700 milligrams, not catastrophic by frozen dinner standards, but excessive when the actual food volume barely fills a salad plate. You're essentially paying $4 for diet theater. It looks like dinner, technically counts as dinner, but leaves you contemplating what real dinner might taste like. Reviewers consistently cite Lean Cuisine for achieving the impossible, making you feel both hungry and unsatisfied simultaneously. 2. Guy Fieri's Flavortown Buffalo Chicken Pasta, the celebrity catastrophe. When Guy Fieri launched his Flavortown frozen meal line, the premise seemed solid. Bring his restaurant flavors to the freezer aisle with the same bold, over-the-top energy that made him a Food Network star. What arrived instead was a masterclass in how celebrity endorsements can't fix fundamentally broken food. This is what happens when taking it to Flavortown means taking a detour through Disappointmentville. The sauce separates immediately upon heating, creating an oily slick that pools around pasta rather than coating it. It's like the sauce and pasta are having a relationship crisis and refuse to work together. The buffalo flavor reads less tangy hot sauce and more chemical heat with a side of regret. The chicken pieces are simultaneously tough and dry, achieving a texture that suggests they were cooked, frozen, cooked again, and then forgotten about for several months in someone's freezer next to a bag of freezer-burned peas from 2019. The scallions overwhelm everything with an aggressive onion flavor that dominates the entire dish. Multiple reviewers have described this meal as simply gross, not just mediocre or forgettable, but actively unpleasant. That's impressive in its own terrible way. At $5 to $6, you're paying premium prices for a meal that tastes like it should cost $1 and come with an apology note. Guy's name keeps this product on shelves purely through curiosity factor and celebrity recognition, banking on people thinking, how bad could it really be? The answer is surprisingly bad. 3. Marie Callender's Chicken Pot Pie, the sodium bomb. Marie Callender's built their empire on pot pies, launching the frozen version in the 1990s to capitalize on their restaurant chain's comfort food reputation. At nearly a pound of food per pie, it certainly looks like value. Unfortunately, it's the kind of value that comes with a side of regret and possibly a cardiologist's business card. The nutritional reality tells a different story entirely. A single Marie Callender's chicken pot pie contains 1,040 calories and a staggering 1,960 milligrams of sodium. That's 85% of your recommended daily intake in one sitting. You're also getting 58 grams of fat, including 24 grams of saturated fat, more than an entire day's worth according to dietary guidelines. You're essentially eating a full day's sodium and fat budget in 15 minutes, disguised as dinner. It's like they took a regular pot pie and decided to see how much salt they could add before it became legally classified as a mineral deposit. The filling suffers from that generic frozen meal taste. Vegetables that are simultaneously mushy and flavorless, chicken pieces that read more as textured protein than actual poultry, and a sauce that's heavily salted to compensate for lack of real flavor development. The crust emerges from the oven tough and greasy, rather than flaky and golden. When you cut into it, the experience feels more like archaeological excavation than dinner. Marie Callender's keeps selling these because pot pies photograph well, feel substantial, and trigger nostalgia for homemade comfort food. The portion size creates an illusion of value that distracts from the fact that you're paying $5 to consume a cardiovascular event wrapped in pastry. 4. Hungry Man Boneless Fried Chicken, the masculine marketing mistake. Hungry Man launched in 1973, specifically targeting men who wanted bigger portions and didn't care about calories, nutrition, or subtlety. The name literally screams, "This is for hungry males," and the massive trays delivered on that promise with portions that felt like actual meals. Size, however, doesn't equal quality. It's the frozen dinner equivalent of a monster truck, impressively large, but you probably shouldn't rely on it for your daily transportation needs. The fried chicken pieces arrive as flat, breaded discs that taste nothing like fried chicken and everything like processed poultry product that someone attempted to make crispy. The breading goes soggy in the microwave, creating a weird textural experience where the outside is simultaneously limp and tough, a culinary paradox that shouldn't exist in nature. The chicken itself is bland and dense, lacking any seasoning or character beyond vaguely meat-flavored. The sides, typically corn and mashed potatoes, taste exactly like every other frozen vegetable and instant potato you've ever encountered, which is to say not good. The brownie included as dessert somehow manages to be both dry and gummy simultaneously, which feels like a metaphor for the entire Hungry Man experience. Nutritionally, Hungry Man meals are catastrophic. Some varieties pack 970 calories and 2,870 milligrams of sodium. That's 120% of your daily sodium recommendation. You're not eating a meal, you're eating a cardiovascular event wrapped in plastic. The brand survives purely on portion size psychology and masculine positioning. Men see the big tray and think more food equals better value, even when the food itself is terrible and the nutritional profile is actively harmful. It's like buying a car based solely on how big the gas tank is, regardless of whether the engine actually works. 5. Banquet Salisbury Steak, the undisputed champion of awful. Banquet Salisbury Steak is the undisputed champion of terrible frozen dinners. A meal so consistently awful it's become legendary. If frozen dinners had a hall of shame, this would be the first inductee. Launched in the 1950s as one of America's first TV dinners, Banquet positioned itself as the affordable, accessible option for busy families. 70 years later, it remains exactly as bad as it's always been, which is sort of impressive in its consistency. They've achieved something remarkable: complete immunity to improvement. The steak is a flat, gray patty that tastes vaguely of beef and heavily of filler, breadcrumbs, textured vegetable protein, and whatever binding agents transform meat paste into a disc-shaped object. It has the texture of a hockey puck and roughly the same nutritional appeal. The gravy achieves a texture that can only be described as gelatinous sludge, thick, slimy, and aggressively salty in a way that suggests it's compensating for having no actual flavor. It's like they took regular gravy and decided to see how many preservatives they could add before it achieved sentience. The mashed potatoes are gluey and artificial, while the corn niblets are the only component that occasionally achieves acceptable status, probably because corn is hard to ruin completely. Even Banquet can't mess up corn, though they certainly tried. Current nutrition labels show 790 calories and 2,400 milligrams of sodium per meal. That's 108% of your daily sodium in one sad tray. The ingredient list reads like a chemistry experiment, featuring multiple forms of modified starches, hydrolyzed proteins, and preservatives that make you wonder if this meal could survive a nuclear winter. Spoiler alert, it probably could. Banquet thrives on extreme price sensitivity and nostalgia. At $1 to $2 per meal, it's the cheapest dinner option in most stores. When your primary competitive advantage is, "We're cheap and you remember us," the actual food quality becomes irrelevant to the business model. Transition to the good stuff. All right, enough roasting sad trays of regret. Let's talk about frozen dinners that actually deserve your money. and prove that frozen food can be legitimately good when companies prioritize quality over cost-cutting. Hit subscribe now, because by the time we get to number 1, we will have proven that frozen food can actually be restaurant-worthy. The 5 restaurant-worthy champions. 1. InnovAsian Orange Chicken, the game changer. InnovAsian launched in 2005 with a radical premise for the frozen Asian food category. What if we made these meals taste like actual Asian food instead of Americanized approximations covered in corn syrup? Revolutionary concept, right? Their orange chicken became the breakthrough product, offering restaurant-quality flavor in a microwavable bag using flash freezing processes that preserve texture better than traditional frozen meal methods. The chicken pieces arrive with genuinely crispy breading that survives the microwave, a near miracle in frozen food engineering. The coating stays crunchy rather than soggy, providing proper textural contrast against the tender chicken inside. It's like they figured out how to defeat the microwave's natural ability to turn everything into mush. The orange sauce delivers authentic sweet-tangy balance with real citrus notes instead of the generic sticky sweet sauce most frozen Asian meals offer. The vegetables, primarily broccoli and bell peppers, maintain their structural integrity and actually taste like vegetables that haven't been processed into oblivion. At around 400 calories per serving with moderate sodium compared to other frozen options, InnovAsian manages to deliver satisfying portions without the nutritional catastrophe typical of this category. The ingredient list shows real ginger, actual orange peel, and recognizable spices instead of the hydrolyzed everything approach of budget brands. Food bloggers consistently rank InnovAsian among the best frozen Asian options, praising the sauce complexity and the fact that the chicken doesn't taste like it was breaded 3 months ago. InnovAsian proved you could make legitimate frozen Asian cuisine if you prioritized ingredient quality and cooking technique over cost-cutting and shelf stability. 2. Trader Joe's Chicken Tikka Masala. The cult favorite. Trader Joe's revolutionized grocery shopping by offering unique products at reasonable prices, and their frozen meal section became legendary for punching above its weight class. Their Chicken Tikka Masala represents everything Trader Joe's does right. Restaurant-quality execution at mid-tier pricing that makes premium food accessible to regular shoppers. The chicken arrives properly marinated and tender, with pieces that taste like they actually spent time in tikka spices rather than being dumped into generic sauce. The masala sauce delivers authentic complexity, tomato depth, cream richness, and the layered spice profile of real garam masala, fenugreek, and ginger that you'd expect from a good Indian restaurant. The sauce doesn't just coat the chicken, it permeates it, creating flavors that taste developed rather than applied as an afterthought. The included basmati rice actually fluffs properly instead of arriving as sticky clumps. It's a small miracle that shouldn't be noteworthy, but here we are. Consumer ratings consistently hit 4+ stars across review platforms, with customers praising the authenticity and flavor depth. At $4 to $5, Trader Joe's dramatically undercuts Indian restaurant prices while delivering food that rivals what you'd pay $15 for at a sit-down establishment. The portion size satisfies without overwhelming, and the calorie count around 360 to 400 makes this a reasonable lunch or dinner that doesn't require guilt or a 2-hour nap afterward. Trader Joe's succeeded by targeting educated, higher-income consumers who appreciate quality but reject paying premium prices for basic conveniences. 3. Healthy Choice Power Bowl. Chicken Marinara. The balanced champion. Healthy Choice launched in 1989 as Conagra's response to growing health consciousness. But the brand really hit its stride with the Power Bowl line, introduced in the 2010s. The Chicken Marinara Bowl represents modern frozen food done right. Balanced nutrition, legitimate portion sizes, and flavors that don't taste like diet food or compromise. The grilled chicken shows actual char marks and proper seasoning, tasting like chicken that was grilled rather than boiled, and then marked with food coloring. Someone actually fired up a grill for this chicken, and it shows. The marinara sauce delivers genuine tomato flavor with herbs you can identify: basil, oregano, garlic, instead of the sweet, generic red sauce that plagues cheaper frozen meals. The whole grain pasta provides texture and substance without being aggressively healthy in that punishing way diet foods often are. Fresh vegetables, including zucchini and peppers, maintain their bite rather than arriving as mush. It's refreshing to eat vegetables that remember they used to be vegetables. Nutritionally, the Power Bowls achieve what Lean Cuisine attempted and failed, satisfying meals around 300 to 350 calories that actually keep you full. The sodium sits around 500 to 600 milligrams, which is restrained for the frozen category, and the protein content of 25 to 30 grams provides genuine satiety. The steam cooking process they use preserves textures better than traditional freezing methods, which explains why the vegetables aren't destroyed and the proteins stay tender. Healthy Choice became the #2 single-serve frozen meal brand behind Stouffer's by figuring out how to make health-conscious food that people actually want to eat. 4. Amy's Kitchen Cheese Enchilada. The organic pioneer. Amy's Kitchen launched in 1987 with a radical commitment. Make frozen meals using organic ingredients and actual cooking techniques, even if it meant higher prices and lower margins. Their cheese enchilada became a cult favorite, proving that frozen Mexican food didn't have to taste like cafeteria leftovers. While other brands were racing to the bottom with cheese-adjacent products and sodium bombs, Amy's was hand-rolling tortillas and using real cheese. The enchilada arrives packed with actual cheese, sharp cheddar that melts properly and provides genuine dairy flavor rather than cheese product goo. The tortilla maintains structural integrity without being either soggy or tough, which is impressive given the sauce-heavy nature of enchiladas. The red sauce delivers proper chili flavor with tomato depth and spice that tastes like someone who understands Mexican food made this, not someone who Googled Mexican sauce recipe 5 minutes before production. The sides, typically black beans and Spanish rice, taste seasoned and intentional rather than thrown in to fill space. Amy's uses organic ingredients throughout, which means the tomatoes taste like tomatoes, the cheese tastes like cheese, and the spices provide actual flavor rather than just heat and salt. The sodium content is lower than comparable frozen Mexican meals at around 680 milligrams, and the calorie count of 330 to 380 makes this a reasonable lunch or light dinner. Multiple taste test rankings place Amy's enchiladas at or near the top of the frozen Mexican category, with reviewers consistently praising the homemade quality. Amy's proved there's a substantial market for frozen food that prioritizes quality over cost, and the cheese enchilada became their flagship product precisely because it delivers on flavor while maintaining ethical production standards. 5. Stouffer's lasagna with meat and sauce, the gold standard. Stouffer's entered the frozen food market in 1954 and spent 70 years perfecting the art of frozen comfort food. Their lasagna with meat and sauce isn't just the best frozen dinner you can buy. It's the gold standard by which all other frozen meals are judged. This is the product that made Stouffer's the #1 frozen dinner brand in America, with sales topping $243 million. That dominance isn't marketing. It's earned through consistent quality that has spanned generations. Your grandparents probably ate this lasagna, and somehow it's still good. That's frozen food longevity. The pasta layers maintain proper texture, tender but not mushy, with enough structure to hold the dish together when you cut through it. The meat sauce achieves genuine depth, with tomatoes that taste like tomatoes, beef that tastes like beef, and Italian seasoning that provides complexity rather than just hitting you with oregano and calling it done. The ricotta cheese layer delivers creamy richness without being greasy or overwhelming, and the mozzarella on top melts and browns properly if you follow the oven instructions. This isn't just good frozen lasagna. It's legitimately good lasagna that happens to be frozen. The secret is Stouffer's commitment to maintaining standards that date back to their restaurant origins. They use real ingredients, proper layering techniques, and cooking processes that preserve flavor and texture through freezing and reheating. The recipe has been refined over decades based on customer feedback and internal testing, resulting in a product so consistent that multiple taste tests cite it as the reliable benchmark. At around 900 milligrams sodium per serving, roughly half the serving size for the full tray, it's not health food, but it's positioned as comfort food that doesn't apologize for being what it is. Stouffer's lasagna survives in the market by being genuinely excellent at what it promises to be. Italian-American comfort food, executed at the highest level the frozen format allows. At $6 to $8 for a tray that provides 2 to 3 servings, you're getting restaurant-quality Italian food for fast food prices. The frozen dinner aisle is a battlefield between brands that respect your time and money versus those that exploit both. The worst offenders survive on nostalgia, portion size illusions, and rock-bottom prices that disguise terrible food as value. They're banking on you being too busy or too broke to care that your dinner tastes like it was designed by a committee who'd never eaten real food. The champions prove that frozen food can be legitimately good when companies prioritize ingredient quality, cooking technique, and actual flavor development over maximum profit margins and shelf stability. Choose accordingly. Hit subscribe if this changed how you'll shop the freezer aisle, and drop a comment telling us which frozen dinner you think we got wrong.